Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the International Accounting Day quiz. So it's been a busy week with lots of webinars available for you, and we're rounding it off with the quiz today, but we're also running this on Tuesday, just in case you've got any colleagues who have missed out at all. Okay, so this is a completely different session to what we normally do, our standard sessions. So it's going to look slightly different. I just want to remind you around that badge first of all, though. So we have done 5 sessions this week. It has flown over very, very quickly. So in order to obtain your badge, you will have needed to attend 4 out of the 5 of those this week. Okay, so if you haven't attended 4 out of the 5, unfortunately, we won't be able to issue the badge to you on this occasion. It does not mean that you can't join us on the quiz today. Okay, you can still take part, but just bear in mind that we won't be able to issue that badge there. I am going to go into a bit more detail later on today around the badging process, so please do hang on till the end because I do want to show you some changes to badging and show you our new exciting software that we're going to be using. So please do hang in at the end, we'll show you that. Okay, so as I mentioned, today is going to be slightly different. So there is no handout. Okay, so if we give you the handout, we'll probably end up giving you all the answers to today. So there is no handout, but obviously there might be questions that get flagged up during the session there. So you do still have the ability to ask your questions during the session. So please do get them sent across to us throughout the session. Don't feel you need to wait till the end of the session there. And also you'll notice that you're on mute. Okay, so we do have quite a few of you attending. We couldn't possibly have you all joining in verbally today. So just bear in mind that we won't be able to hear any background noise at your end, so no worries there. Okay, so how we're going to do this is we're going to use the polling feature, and I've popped some examples on the screen there. So it's just an opportunity to test your knowledge. We are not going to mark you, okay? So there's no shame here if you get anything wrong, but there probably is some bragging rights if you get full marks at the end of it. We're going to do 5 rounds, and for each round, we're going to do one of the topics that we've covered in our sessions this week. Like I said, the results aren't marked, so please do just give it a go. If you're not sure, just try and pop an answer in. After each round, Michael will take over and he will go through the answers, and where possible, he's going to throw in a demonstration to try and support that answer for you. Now, when you select your option, please do not forget to click submit, okay? We'll try and wait till we get about 70% of you popped your vote through, and then we will close the poll down. What I will say is if you do want to keep a track of your own marks, that's great. Grab a pen and a piece of paper now, and you'll be able to keep a track of that. And at the end, if you want to throw your scores in, you are more than welcome to do so. But like I say, there's no shame today. If you get any wrong, we're certainly not going to judge you. Okay, so like I say, after each round, we're going to share the responses and the correct answers will be shown by Michael. So with that in mind, good luck everyone, and let's make a start with what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to be looking at round 1, which was Tuesday's session, our first session of the week, which was getting paid quickly. Round 2 will be around automating transactions. Round 3 is reports made easy. Round 4, protecting your data, and round 5, shortcuts for success. So if you have by accident missed a session, don't panic, okay? You just give your best guess on those ones. Okay, without further ado, because we do have 20 questions to get through, we are going to make a start. I'm going to start with round 1, and this is all to do with getting paid. This was the session that we did on Tuesday morning. It was the first session that we did this week, and that was hosted by myself. So do try and cast your mind back if you joined the session there. Okay, so I'm going to start with question 1, which I'm just going to launch the poll now. So you should see this on your screen in just a moment there. So question 1 is, which service enables your customers to pay you by direct debit? So you can cast your minds back to that session on Monday. We talked about some of the additional services towards the end there. So was that invoice payments, or Payo by Elavon, Go Cardless, or Invoice Finance? And there is just one answer for this one. So if you can pop your answers across, they're starting to come through, which is always a good sign. Good that that's starting to work there. Fantastic. And like I say, I want to give you a good chance to get your votes across and get familiar with the system as well. It's not normally how we use the system. And they are coming across thick and fast there. So I've just got the magic 70% that I wanted to wait for. And I am just going to close the poll there again. Do not panic if you didn't get your answer across. And I'm just going to share all of the responses there. So the leader there on that one was Go Cardless. So we'll find out very shortly which one was the correct answer there. Okay, moving on to question 2. This one is a true or false. True or false, invoice payments allows part payments of an invoice to be made. So again, this was what we covered on Tuesday. There was a short video during the session that showed you how invoice payments works. And this is the feature that allows you to take payments via PayPal or Stripe. However, does it allow part payments of an invoice to be made? So again, one answer in this case, and you can see the answers are coming through. It's fantastic. And there we go, coming through very quickly all at once there. So again, I'm just going to close down the poll there and share the results there. So there wasn't much doubt in that one. We've got the answer of true. So 100% of you think that that one was true. So again, all will be revealed in just a few moments' time. Okay, question 3. Just going to launch this one here. Now this is probably a bit of a tricky one. Standard layouts with bank details already added were introduced in which version? So you might need to be quite eagle-eyed for this one. Which version did we introduce the standard layouts with bank details already added? So you've been able to add them manually for a long time. How long have they been there in standard layouts? And if you're not sure, take a guess. Perfect, they're coming through. There is a slight delay on this poll as well, so it's good to see that they're coming through there. Okay. Few more to go just to hit the magic 70%. Fantastic, we've made it. I'm going to close that one down and share. So across the board there, but I think the leader there was version 29, closely followed by version 30. So let's move on to the final one for round 1. Round 1's almost done already, so let's have a quick look. Now this is an option where you have 2 potential selections, okay? Which 2 of the following use a Pay Now button? Is it Invoice Finance or Pay-O by Elavon, Invoice Payments, or adding bank details to a layout? So you can pick 2 in this particular one. So we only did a full demonstration of one of these on Tuesday, and the other was at the end under other services. Okay, and again, the waterfall of submissions are coming through there. Interesting. Okay, they're coming through. Just a few more to get to 70%. Not far off at all. There we go. Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to share the results of that one there. So 2 quite clear leaders there, Pay-O by Elavon and Invoice Payments. A few have mentioned Invoice Finance, and the smallest one there was adding bank details to a layout. Okay, so that is the end of round 1. I'm going to be back in just a moment with round 2, but I'm going to hand you over to Michael, and we're going to try and do this as smoothly as possible so he can go through the answers to round 1 for you. So remember, if you want to take a note, get your pen and paper ready for your scores there.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael. So I'm going to be going through the answers as soon as I can share my screen. There we go. So we're going to go through the answers. I'll try and chuck in a demo here and there as well, where we can, obviously time permitting. So we'll get stuck straight in. So question 1 of the getting paid round was, which service enables your customers to pay you via direct debit? So the answer to that one is Go Cardless. Now, Go Cardless is a company we have partnered with for quite some time. So loads of information available as well. If you want to find out about any of those services, what you can do just within your software, just on your navigation bar, probably one that you may have not gone into, is there's an apps and add-ons option. So if you want to find out more about any of those services, invoice payments, Apeo, Go Cardless, or Invoice Finance, that's where you'll find it. So if you did guess Go Cardless, you were right, give yourself a point. Question 2 was the true or false, and it was invoice payments allows part payments of an invoice to be made. So the answer to that one was true. That's a fairly recent addition to the invoice payments option, which is, I can't remember the exact version of that one now, but it does allow you to do that. Previously, it used to be the customer could pay you in full only. So it was a really popular request, that one that we received via our community hub via the ideas portal. So that was added into an earlier version. So that is available now. Question 3, standard layouts. So which that include bank details. It's a really popular query, this one as well. How do I add my bank details to my invoice layout? So in version 29, so that was the right answer, we'd introduced a couple of layouts that automatically pulled your bank details through directly onto the layout. So just to quickly show you that, because as I say, sometimes they are a little bit more difficult to find. If I just quickly share my screen, I'll show you this one. So if we pop into invoices and credits, we'll select an invoice and pop into print, into layouts. Now, if you're on version 30, you will actually have less layouts than if you were on an earlier version. There's quite a few reports or layouts that you tend to find weren't used, so they've actually been hidden in the software. But this one in version 30, so you'll need to look through if you're on an earlier version, so 29 or 30, just so you can see the ones that say with bank details. So if you're using that layout, it will automatically pull it through. If you're using one of the other layouts and you want to include bank details, not a problem. Do check out our recordings, and there's a recorded webinar which will show you exactly what you need to do, or just simply refer to the help center and there'll be steps in there that will guide you through that process. Right, heading back to the final question of this round, or the final answer to this round, I should say. And it was, which 2 of the following use a Pay Now button? And the correct answers in this case were Apeo by Elavon and also invoice payments. So when you basically email out your invoice to your customers, if you're using either of those services, those invoices would include a Pay Now button. Your customer clicks it, and they're guided through to the payment portal where they can pay you online. And the added benefit of that feature is that those transactions, those payments that they make, will automatically download into your software and match against the relevant customers, paying off the relevant invoices as well. Good time saver. Right, so keep a track of your scores. We're going to pass back to Jackie at that point, and we'll continue with round 2.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Michael. So yeah, we're going to power on with round 2, and this session was on Tuesday afternoon. Now, I have had someone just mention that they haven't attended the sessions. That does not matter, okay? You might still pick something up from the session today. So please hang on. If you haven't attended this week's sessions, you might still learn something from it. Okay, so round 2 is automating transactions. So we're going to jump into the questions again there, and we're going to move on to question number 5. So if you can cast your mind back, can you remember where you would find the no recurring entries at startup setting? So there's a setting in the software where you can switch on or off the option for it to prompt you that there are recurring entries when you open up the software. Can you remember where that option is? This is probably a toughie, and if you're quick, you can also try using your software, but you will have to be quick because we will close it when we get to 70% there. Like I say, there's no penalties for getting anything wrong, so if not, just give it a go. Okay, the votes are starting to come across. And give it a few more moments just so we can get a few more of you voting there. Like I say, if you're not sure, just pop in a guess. Okay, almost there. Remember just to click on the submit option as well to get your responses across. And there we go, we've got them there. So I'm going to close that down and I'm going to share this one. So probably a bit of a toughie, not as much of a lead on any of these ones. And again, Michael will be reviewing the answers very soon for you. So question number 6. Again, we've got a true or false. In bank feeds, you can set up a rule for bank transfers. So bank feeds, you can set up rules for transactions. So regular recurring transactions, you can set up rules for, but can you do them for bank transfers? Now this week we did do a flying visit on bank feeds. We actually have 3 sessions dedicated to bank feeds, part 1, part 2 and part 3, and they are running next week. So if you did see a little bit of what you like and you want to see a bit more, get yourself registered for those. They're available on our webinars page. Okay, we're almost at the 70% there already. Okay. There we go, we've just hit the mark there, and I'm just going to share those for you. So at the moment, we've got, I think it's 77% there thinking true and 23% think that that is false. And I will leave that to Michael to reveal. Okay. On to another true or false there. And this one is, with bank feeds rules, it is possible to split payments across multiple nominal codes. Now, Abby did demonstrate this once. If you can remember Tuesday afternoon, she did a demonstration of whether or not you could do this one. So with bank feeds rules, can you split the payments across multiple nominal codes? And the answers have started to come through there. And flying up to 70% there. Nearly there. Fantastic, we've got that there. So again, I'll share. And 96% of you think that this one is true, and just a very small percentage there thinking false. So again, all will be revealed in just a few moments from Michael. So the last one for this round, again, just talking about bank feeds. And this is, what's the maximum number of rules that can be set up? Okay, so setting up those rules to automate processing, how many can you set up? So there's a few different numbers there. Just think of how that might impact your processing day to day if you could automate that many transactions coming through on a regular basis. Okay, so the votes have started to come through, which is great. So again, just a reminder, bank feeds, webinars next week if you want to join those, and they do run quite regularly. So if next week's not going to work for you, don't worry, we will be running them again very soon. Okay, just edging past 65% there, so we're going to hit it very shortly. So I'm just going to close the poll there now. And again, I'm just going to share the results of that one. So maybe not as confident on this one. We've got quite even Stevens there across the top ones. So again, I'm going to pass you over to Michael now. He's going to reveal the answers of round 2 for you.
Thank you, Jackie. Right, okay, just wait till I share my screen. Just takes a few moments to come through. Right, there we go. So you should be able to see my screen now. Okay, so just going to go through the round 2 answers. Obviously, a bit more uncertainty on this one. So do remember the recordings are available if you want a bit of a recap on anything that we're asking about and you're not sure of. So links to the recordings will be included on your follow-up email. So question 1 in round 2 was, where would you find the no recurring entries at startup setting? So it's actually found on the settings menu, which all of them had that, and then company preferences and parameters. Now I'll quickly show you that one. It's if I just quickly share my screen. So if we pop into the settings menu, into company preferences, should just ask you for your password again. And then on the parameters tab, there's loads of settings in here, and it's this specific setting here, no recurring entries at startup. Now with that ticked, it will mean that if you've got recurring entries that are due, you're not going to be prompted when you open the software. But if you do take that tick out, if you are using recurring entries, I'll just OK that. If you close out of your software, we'll not back up this time. And then if I re-access that company, and it should just prompt me to log in. And you'll get this prompt. So if you are using recurring items, whether that's in the bank area or the invoicing area where you've got recurring invoices entered, if they are due and you've taken the tick out of that prompt, you will get this prompt as you come in if they are due. So if I wanted to process them, I can just click yes. Should just take a few moments for them to load. So in this case, I've just got the one bank payment. So I can select that, click process. It pops it into essentially the batch data entry screen. And if I'm happy with that, obviously I can make changes if I need to. So I could change the date, etc. And then I can just click post. And that would be it done. So just to confirm the correct answer, if we go back to the slides for that one, it was the 4th option, settings, company preferences, and then parameters. Right, moving on, question 2 in the round. True or false, in bank feeds, you can set up a rule for bank transfers. So currently you can't. The answer to that one is false. It's one of the limitations of rules at the moment. You can't set up a rule to automatically post a transfer as it downloads from via your bank feed. It is something that has been fed back to our development team, but at the moment you would either need to post that manually, and then you can do a manual match, or you can select the transaction that's downloaded and then use the create option and easily create the transfer at that point. So although you can't do it automatically at the moment, really easy to do it manually if required. So if you did choose false, I think there was only 23% of you, so just under a quarter of you chose the correct option there. Next question. So again, another true or false. With bank feed rules, is it possible to split payments across multiple nominal codes? And nearly all of you chose true for this one. So 96% of you chose true, which is correct. You can do that. So the likes of if it's a bank payment or bank receipt, you can split those by nominal code. So it's a bit like when you do a batch transaction, so a batch bank payment, you could split that over a number of lines. So you can do that via rules. You can split it as much as you want, and you can split that by either as a percentage of the value of the payment or as a value. So the common example would be, let's say you've got dual fuel, so gas and electric, you get one bill, you make one payment, but you want to split that between different nominal codes, you can do that. If you want to find out more about how to do that, remember Abby's running a bank feeds, it is bank feeds part 2, which covers the rules option. I think she's running that one next week. So get yourself signed up. That will be, the link to register for those will be on the follow-up email. Now, also linking into rules, question there, what is the maximum number of rules that can be set? And this is where there was a big divide. So it was about 25% of you each voted for each of the options. So 300 is the correct answer. That is the limit. It is the limit per bank account as well. So if you've got multiple bank accounts in Sage Accounts, where you might, let's say you've got the 2 accounts, each one is connected to a different bank feed, which you can do. Then each of those bank accounts, you can have up to 300 rules set up. So it can be a big time save. Obviously, the more rules you set up, the more automated your processing becomes, and therefore the more time you're going to save compared to keying that information in manually. So again, if you want to find out more about it, bank feed sessions will start next week. So do get yourself signed up. And on that, we'll hand you back to Jackie, who'll continue with round 3.
Okay, thank you very much there, Michael. Just going to pop back onto my view there. Okay, just a few questions they're coming through about the badge and how much you need to score to earn the badge. Your attendance to 4 of the 5 live sessions and the quiz is enough to obtain the badge. Okay, so today is just trying to have a little bit of fun and consolidate your learning with a quiz. So please don't worry if you're getting any wrong. Like I say, it is just a little bit of fun. Okay, so we're going to move very swiftly on because time is absolutely flying for us. On to round 3, and we're going to be looking at reporting made easy. This was the session from yesterday morning there. So we're going to jump in with a true or false straight away. Custom reports can be added to a batch report. So the batch reporting feature is a feature where you can run multiple reports at the same time using the same criteria. Now, can you add a custom report to that? So if you've had a report created, can you add that to a batch report? So true or false. So the votes have started to come through, which is great. Batch reporting is probably one of my favorite features. It's something that I didn't hear much about on technical support, so I don't think the awareness is really there at the moment. However, once I learned how to do it, I just thought this is a great feature. What a great time saver this one is. So that's the batch reporting feature. We've just hit 72%, so I'm going to share the results there. And we've got most of you picking true, 84% of you there. So again, Michael will reveal in just a moment's time. Okay, so I'm going to move on quickly to the next one. Again, we're going to talk about batch reporting. So in which menu in the software would you go to access batch reporting? Okay, so again, if you've got access to the software, you might want to quick check if you've got time to do so. But where would you go to get into the batch reporting feature? Is that in Tools, Modules, Settings, or in Connected Services? Okay, votes are starting to come through there, which is great. And again, batch reporting, we've done a dedicated session on batch reporting in the past. We don't have any live ones booked just yet, but if you do want to join that full session, you can check out a recording on our recordings page. Okay, I'm going to close the vote because we've just hit 70% there and share the results there. So the majority of you said tools, but a few sneaking into modules, settings and connected services. It's proving very hard for me not to say what the right answer is. So I'm trying my best to bite my tongue here and not give it all away. So we're going to move on to the next one before I do give any spoilers away. Which reporting feature was introduced in Sage 50 Accounts version 30? Okay, now version 30 was released just under a year ago. I believe it was January last year we released version 30. So if you can cast your minds back, can you remember what reporting feature appeared in version 30? Was it the report design feature? Was it the ability to add favorites, the report finder tool, or the AI report finder? Okay, again, the votes are coming through, which is great. And with us talking about version 30, good consideration that version 31 is coming very soon. So if you're interested in what improvements are coming, we are currently developing the webinar, so keep an eye out for those dates to be released and get yourself registered. Okay, I'm going to close because we've hit 70% again, and I'm just going to share those results. So almost a 50-50 split there between the Report Finder tool and the AI Report Finder. Okay, last one for this round. And this is what action can be used to export the data currently visible on the Sage 50 accounts screen. So what can you do when you're in your software and you're looking at the data to export that information? What is the best option to do that? So is it to clear? Is it to print list, the reports feature, or send to Excel? Okay. And yep, the votes have started to come through. Always a good sign to see that it's working there. And thick and fast, almost at 70. And there we go. We'll close that one down there. Okay, so that is the end of round 3. So I'm going to send you back to Michael. Michael will go through the 4 answers there for you.
Thank you, Jackie. Right, okay, so let me find the right slide and we'll get stuck into the round 3 answers. So reporting made easy. Question number 1. True or false? Custom reports can be added to a batch report. Now, some of you might have been caught out for this because we didn't actually cover this specifically in this session, but hopefully you've had a chance to have a go of it. But as it happens, 84% of you did click true, and that is the right answer. Any report, whether that's a standard report or a one you've customized or even designed yourself from scratch, you can add that to a batch report. So nice and easy to do that. Again, there is that batch reporting recording if that's something you want to find out more about. So if it was just a quick guess that you were having there, well done. Now, and also linking to that, next question was which menu includes the batch reporting option? It was the tools option. Loads of options on there that often get overlooked, especially for customizing your software, such as the tools and then the options menu, but it is where you'll find the batch reporting option. So the majority of you got that right as well. Now remember the batch reporting option, just in case you sat there wondering, what are we talking about? It's not available on the essentials level of the software. So you need to be on standard or the professional level of the software to be able to access that option. Next question was which reporting feature was introduced in Sage 50 Accounts version 30? A bit of a split on this one, and it is actually the AI Report Finder tool. So that's something we covered in a little bit of detail in the session. Now we did mention a little bit about the Report Finder tool, and it's something that we've been mentioning for quite some time now, because the Report Finder tool itself, which the aim is to get you at and to help you find the right report in Sage, it's something that's been around for a long time, but that's now being built into the software with the AI Report Finder in version 30. So that AI Report Finder, it's available on just about all of the ledgers where you have a reports option, but you must be on version 30 and you must have linked your Sage account to your software as well to be able to access that. If you want to find out more about that AI Report Finder and you are on version 30, again, just have a look within our help center. Final question within this round, and I think virtually 95% of you from the votes there got this right, is what action can be used to export the data currently visible on the Sage 50 account screen? So it is sent to Excel. Technically, I suppose print list and reports are correct as well, but we were after the correct answer, which was sent to Excel. It's the simplest option. It's a fab feature. Jackie mentioned this when she was asking the question as well about some of the other options. It's available just about throughout the software as well. So whatever screen you're in, whether you're looking at your list of records, your list of an activity screen, or even batch entries. And that includes journals as well. If you just want a quick printout or a copy of what you've entered in the likes of a journal entry screen, then you can use this Send to Excel option. And I'll just quickly show you that option. I'll quickly share my screen again. So customers, you've got the Send to Excel. Now I will send whatever is listed. So remember, if you did join that session on Reporting Made Easy or session number 3, then you would be familiar with the filter when we talked a little bit about the filters. So reducing the information that's listed. So maybe hiding things like zero balance accounts or filtering it so it only displays the accounts that meet certain criteria. So you do that first, and then whatever is listed, doesn't matter whether you've highlighted it or not, whatever is listed, when you click Send to Excel, it should quickly transfer across for you. Just opened on my other screen, that would help if I share that for you. So it is literally that quick. Right, the other one I want to quickly mention, because a lot of people don't realize this is available, is if we do pop into a batch data entry screen. Now that could be bank accounts and into a list of payments. Again, you could pop them all in there, and before you click save, you've got that option just to send it across to Excel if you need to keep track of that. And also in nominal codes, if you're entering a journal, you've got the Send to Excel as well. So again, once you've completed that, just Send to Excel. Obviously, you could save that as a file if you wanted to keep a copy of that, and then you would just save your journal. So that brings us to the end of round 3 answers, and we'll hand back to Jackie for round 4.
Okay, thank you again, Michael. So we're on to round 4. This was the session that we ran yesterday afternoon with myself, which was quick tips to protect your data. So powering on with the questions there, just going to launch the next question. So in which version was the option to restore into practice data introduced? So a relatively new feature, as you'll be able to see from the versions we're offering there as answers. This is a fantastic feature. It means that you can restore a backup into practice data rather than over the top of your live data. So it takes away the risk and the worry that comes with restoring a backup over your live data. So which version do we think that appeared in? So relatively new, last couple of years. No spoilers there. Okay. Final few just popping a vote through. And there we go. We've hit the 70%. So I'm just going to close and share again. So majority of you thinking version 30.1, followed by version 30. And a few of you said version 31. Now version 31 is released soon, so you're a little bit ahead of the game. So version 31 will be released later this month, and the feature is actually already available. So that was a little bit of a red herring, so apologies for the naughty answer there. I do apologize, trying to trick people. Okay, next one. True or false again? And again, we're talking about restoring to practice data. There we go. If you restore into practice data, the data that you restore there is going to be retained indefinitely. So what happens if you restore into practice data? Does it retain that data? So is it true or false, that statement there? Now this is something, again, we covered in yesterday's session, in our quick tips session there. And we showed you what the outcome would be. Okay, starting to get them through. And again, we covered this in some of our sessions earlier this year in our webinars when we were introducing one of our versions. It was one of our update webinars. Okay, just going to close the poll there. Share the results. So the majority of you think that that statement is false. Okay, moving swiftly on to number 15, another true or false. Okay, so another topic we mentioned was the schedule backup feature. Okay, now the schedule backup will check your data and back up even if users are logged in. Okay, so is this true or is this false? So we're talking about the schedule backup, not your standard backup. Your standard backup is when you go into file and backup. The schedule backup is where you can tell the backup to run automatically at a certain time each day, meaning that if you walk out the door without taking your backup, you're still covered. Okay, great, we're up to 70% again, and we'll share the results there. So the majority of you stated true. We've got a small portion of you there thinking false. Okay, final one for this round, question 16. Okay, I think I've just missed that one, unfortunately. I've just clicked too much. I knew there was going to be one. I'm going to read it out. If you want to pop your response in the chat, we can have a quick look at those. And this is in check data. What does it mean if you have an error? Now, unfortunately, like I say, I've clicked too quickly on that one, so apologies for this one. I'm just going to quickly pause my screen so I can give you the options without giving you the answers there. So bear with me. Is it that we would recommend you fix these before continuing? They're for information only. You must stop processing, or a user has posted a transaction incorrectly. So I'm going to go A, B, C, D here. So A is we recommend you fix it before continuing. B is for information only. C is that you must stop processing until they've been resolved. Or D is a user has posted a transaction incorrectly. So apologies for that one. That's I will not make that mistake again. But if you want to just pop in A, B, C, or D into the chat. Luckily, your results are not reliant on your badge, because that was a failure on my part. So I do apologise there. But great to see that everyone's popping their votes through, thinking fast there. So we've got a mix. Looking at them so far, I would say it's probably even Stevens between A and C. Got a couple of B's in there. Oh, and a couple of D's have just snuck through, but I would say most of you are saying A and C there. So apologies for that. We will learn better for the final round. So with that in mind, I'm going to send this back to Michael before we do our final round there.
Thank you, Jackie. Right, okay, let me just share my screen and we'll run through the answers. So question one in this round, all about protecting your data. So in which version was the option to restore into practice data introduced? So that option was available in 30.1. So hopefully you avoided the red herring that Jackie had put in there, a version 31. It's not just something that's going to be introduced in the future. It is there now as long as you were on 30.1. If you're just on version 30.0 and you obviously want to take advantage of that, make sure you install the latest update. If you need to check your version, it's just help and then about. Now, prior to the practice data, obviously, it would have meant that you would have started from a blank set of data each time. So every time you access the practice data, it would have just gone into a blank set of data, and you got the option to sort of reset specific areas if needed. So the introduction 30.1 of being able to restore a copy of your data into it means it's a great resource. You can experiment and try things with a copy of your data so you can see what that looks like. So if you've attended a webinar on, say, departments or setting budgets or anything like that, you want to have a go over that with your data as opposed to just some practice data. You can now do that in version 30.1. Now, following on from that one, the question is true or false. If you do restore into practice data, your data is retained indefinitely. So we had about 32% of you said true on this one, and the rest of you, 68%, saying false. So the answer is false. When you close out of the practice data, your data will be cleared from that. So next time you log on to the practice company, you will be prompted to either access a blank company or again to restore. Now, if you've never come across practice data before, demonstration data for that matter, I'll just quickly share my screen and I'll show you where you would access that. I'll just get rid of this option. So you would just go to your file menu. So once you're logged into Sage, just go to your file menu. You've got the open option and you've got the option open demo data. Now, demo data has loads of records already entered, loads of fictitious customers, suppliers, product records, there's bank accounts in there, there's loads of transactions. So if you just want to have a play with the software, you can access that one. But this is the practice data option. So if you're on version 30.0 or earlier, when you choose to open practice data, what you will get is you'll just get the option to go into essentially a blank company. In version 30.1, you're going to receive this prompt. So you can choose the option use my data, and then it'll be a case of you browsing for the backup file that you want to use, or you can still have the option to use that blank data if you want to. So as I say, a great resource if you want to experiment with a new part of the software, or maybe you've got someone new to using Sage and you want them to have a little play with the software before letting them loose on your live data. Right, let's get back to the slides. So question 3 in this round was to do with the schedule backup. And it's the schedule backup option will check your data and backup even if users are logged in, true or false. So the correct answer to that one is true. So 82% of you got that right. It does mean that you'll not even notice it happening in the background. It just happens in the background. So it's not going to prompt you to close out. It'll just happen in the background. Now remember, to access this option, you will need to log into your software as manager. It's then just a case of going to the file menu and then onto schedule backup. Now we did have a lot of questions about this on the live session, asking, well, if I set that up, does my PC have to be switched on for it to happen? And the answer to that one is no. The only PC that needs to be running, when I say running, it doesn't have to have Sage open, is the PC where your Sage data is held. So if you run across a network and your data is on a server, as long as that server is switched on, it will check your data and it will back up automatically at the designated time. If you're a single user version, then obviously if your data is held locally, then your PC would need to be switched on at the designated time. You don't have to have Sage running. It will just run in the background. It will check your data and it will take that backup. And then the final question in this round that didn't quite go to plan is in check data. What does it mean if you have an error? What should you do? So there were 4 answers. Judging by the answers that were coming through, I think the majority of you did get that right. It was option C. So option A, pretty similar, but basically you need to stop processing. You need to resolve any errors before you continue. If you continue, you might just find to a certain extent, you're wasting your time. So you need to stop, resolve that, whether that means running a fix of some description or possibly even having to restore to an earlier backup, but you must resolve that before you continue. Okay, so we'll hand quickly back to Jackie, who will continue with round 5.
Okay, final round. We're finally there. And this was shortcuts for for success, easy for me to say. And this was the session we did this morning. So this should be the freshest in your mind there. So 4 final questions for us to push through, and then we're going to take a look at what your badge will look like once you've received that. Okay, so I'm going to try not to get the poll wrong this time. I will be patient and only click once. So click on there, and I'm going to launch this for you. There we go. Right, where can you select which layouts you wish to use for quick print or quick email? So quick print and quick email are options at the top of your invoicing window, and you need to specify which layout you wish to use for quick print and quick email. Now, where would you do this? Okay, so again, it's one of those where you might want to give it a quick go if you've got time. And they're all within the settings option, but where do you go from there? And don't worry if you can't remember, it's probably a setting you change once, and once you've done it, that's it. So I wouldn't expect it to be ingrained on your memory forever. But the votes are coming through, which is a good sign. I haven't closed the poll too soon. And give that just a moment or two. Okay, flying through there. Okay, I'm going to close the poll there and share. So the majority there went for settings, invoice, and order defaults. Okay, question 18 is around the hotkeys feature. Okay, so can you remember how you access the hotkeys feature? So this is one of Michael's favorites, and he touched on this morning around the hotkeys feature in Sage 50 accounts. Can you remember what keyboard keys you need to use for the hotkeys feature? Okay, that's the votes coming through, despite the slight delay there. Okay, so not to be mixed up with anything else he covered. It's a tricky one when we've covered a few things in such a short space of time. And again, I'm just going to close the vote down there and share. So the majority there went for the Alt key. So all will be revealed in just one moment. Okay, we're still on function keys. I'm going to launch this one here. Which function keys can you use to insert a blank line when entering data? So the function keys can be used in the batch windows, in other windows around the software, and you can have features like inserting a line, calculating the net, deleting a line, copying the line above. So can you remember which was the one for inserting a line? Okay. So I'm just going to close these down a little bit quicker with us just running slightly over this. I'm just going to share the results there. And the majority of you there going for F7. Final question for today before Michael shows you the results and we wrap today up for you. And this is to do with the Smart Links feature. So using the Smart Link within a customer activity does what? Okay, now I remember this is probably towards the end of the session as well, so this should be the freshest in your brain. Does it take you to the transactions window? Does it open the original invoice? Does it allow you to set up a recurring item? Or does it allow you to pay off the invoice? So when you use the Smart Link within the customer activity, what does that do? Okay, so place your votes, click on submit for the last time, and we'll get those viewed for you. Once we've revealed the results, or Michael has revealed the results, like I say, please do hang on. We'd love to show you the features of your new badge, and it will only take just a couple of moments just to show you what that's going to look like and some of the benefits that come with the new badge as well. I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to share this for one last time. And the majority going there for opening the original invoice. Okay, so I'm going to quickly send you back to Michael. He's going to go through the results and I'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Thanks, Jackie. Right, we'll quickly run through the answers for round 5. There we go. Right, so question 1 in this round. Where can you select which layouts to use for quick print or the email option? So we looked at this morning. I'm glad to say, well, nearly half of you remembered where that was. It's a great little feature, this one. Just saves you a little bit of time when it comes to printing and emailing your invoices. And if you need to change your layout, it's settings and then invoice and order defaults. Now, if you're on Essentials, remember that is settings and invoice defaults. So within there, you'll see there's a quick print tab and also an email tab. So if for whatever reason you've selected a layout and you need to switch to a different one as being the default for that option, that's where you'll do that. You'll just be able to click the browse option and select the required one. Next question was, how do you access the hotkeys feature? So I think this was quite well received this morning when we talked about this one. It's one of those hidden gems where if you prefer to be keyboard based, then all you need to do, press your Alt key, you'll get a little code pop up next to each of the options that you've got available. So there'll be one for customers, you just type that code in, it opens the customer's ledger. Simply saves you switching between the keyboard and the mouse all the time. So you can find it's just that little bit quicker to use the software once you've learned them. You'll probably find it slows you down a little bit at first, but once you've learned a few of them, the common ones that you want to go into all the time, hopefully you'll save a little bit of time. So the majority of you got that right. I think about 82% of you got that one. Function keys, also sticking with that shortcuts theme from this morning. Which of the function keys can you use to insert a blank line when entering data? Now, all of the function keys, F1 all the way through to F12 on your keyboard, do have a use within software, but the right answer for inserting a blank line is F7, and again the majority of you got that right. It's a bit more obvious these days because generally where you can use F7 and F8 and F6 for that matter, there'll be an icon for that along the top of your screen as well, which you can easily click on if required. But again, sticking with that keyboard theme, just pressing F7 will do that for you. If you want to find out more about the function keys, just access the Help Center, just search for shortcuts or function keys, and it will give you a list F1 all the way through to F12 and what their use is within the software. Some good ones in there just to save you a little bit of time. Final question in this round, using the smart link within a customer's activity does what? So might not be available on all transactions, but where available, it will open the original invoice or credit note for that matter, depending on what the transaction is. So again, the majority of you got that right, about 2/3 of you got that right, it will open the original invoice. And remember there is that link the other way as well, the smart link. When you're entering an invoice, as soon as you've entered that account reference, you can click the little button beside it if you need to access the customer's record. You can find out more about that. So just to save a little bit of time, sticking with that theme for this week, saving a little bit of time, we'll hand you back to Jackie and she'll obviously conclude the webinar for us.
Okay, I think we missed one question in the answers there. So just want to cover that very, very quickly. Question 17, where can you select which layouts to use for quick print or email? It was in settings, invoice and order defaults. Okay, so if you do want to share your scores, absolutely pop them in the chat, great to see. But also if you've got any feedback around what you've seen this week or in terms of the quiz, please either pop that in the chat or in the survey when the session ends today. Now, I do just very quickly want to show you, I've mentioned this a few times here, around the new badge that we've got. So we have been running badges on the team for around a year, and we have now moved on to a new system. So this is the first time that we're going to be using this system, and I just wanted to share it with you because it's really exciting what we've got to use here. So I'm just going to show you first of all what your email will look like. Okay. Now, It may take us to the end of the month to get this sorted, so please do bear with us, okay? If you haven't heard from us by the 1st of December, please do reach out to us on webinarbadging@sage.com. You should receive an email that looks a bit like this, okay? And it's got a link in here to view your badge on our system called Accredible, okay? Now I'm going to show you a quick link here. So you would click on View Your Badge, and it will take you to an Accredible login. So what you will need to do if you've never used Accredible before is create a login and log into Accredible. So I've bypassed that step for the purposes of demonstration today. So I'm actually in my Accredible account now. Now, the first thing I'd like to show you, which is really key, is your privacy settings. Now, obviously, you've obtained this badge. You probably want to share this with the world, or at least your colleagues and those who are maybe your future employees or employers. So the first thing I would like to show you there is the privacy settings. So when you click on privacy, it will initially start as private. Now, what we suggest you do to be able to share this is just to change that to public, and that means that you will be able to share that widely. So update your privacy to public, and then what you've got is these great features which allow you to share your badge through social media, in particular LinkedIn, but you can also use other social media sites as well. You can view your badge, so you can actually download the image and add that to things like your email. You can actually email it, so you can email it to, like I say, maybe future employers or people who are managing your profile. And it just allows you to start promoting, that you're actively seeking your own self-development. What's also great with this Accredible system is as we come to do more badges, you will start to build up a library of the badges that you have obtained. So when I click into my credentials, you can see all of the previous badges that I have earned in the past there. So to just go back into the badge that you've obtained, you can do it from there. So we've definitely taken a step forward in terms of the badging, getting it onto Accredible, allowing you to store all of that information in one place. So it's a really, really great feature, and we'd love for you to start using this, start sharing, start letting people know, because what we'd love to do in February when we come to do our next badge is see more of you back along with your colleagues as well. So that was just a brief overview. We're going to hope to do some more videos and content on this Accredible system so that you can see a little bit more how it will work for you and how the sharing will work as well. So watch this space and we'll try and get a bit more information on there. Okay, the last thing just before you go is just to let you know that learning continues regardless of badging. We are continuing next week. We are back. We have another version of the quiz. It is the same quiz. Hopefully I won't get the buttons wrong next week though. Now with a little bit more practice, but we're going to be trying to build on some of the topics we've covered this week. So we're going to be touching on two-factor authentication, company archives, bank feeds, and as I mentioned in my session earlier this week, we're going to be looking at corrections later this month. So everything to do with corrections, customers, journals, invoices, bank transactions, VAT, it's going to be covered. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging in there with us. Apologies for overrunning. We will try and streamline that going forward. We don't do quizzes often, so sometimes it is hard to gauge how long they will take when you have a live audience. So apologies for that, but thank you so much for hanging in there. Thank you for joining us this week. It's been an absolute pleasure to see so many of you joining us, and really looking forward to getting all of your badges issued towards the end of the month there. So with that in mind, I am going to pop on mute. If you are leaving, thank you very much for joining us. I will just pop on mute just in case there's any final questions before we go, but I'll pop back just before we end the session in a moment or two. Okay, going to end the session there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Take care, and again, thank you to the team as well for all of their help and support this week as well. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you on another session real soon.